welcome to teaching learning session of sociology. Today we'll discuss kinship and the descent approach of BSOE 146. In our last lecture, we discussed about family and marriage. After this, kinship and descent approach. Kinship, as we all know that kinship is a universal concept. It's a universal feature of human culture, and it served as a major organizing principles of human societies. Kinship plays a very important role in organizing principles of human societies, and it's a universal concept. It can be defined as a principle by which individuals or groups of individuals are organized into social groups, how society is formed, right? So kinship plays an important role in formation of social groups, in formation of categories by means in anthropology. The study of kinship has existed ever since the mid to late 1800s, and when L. Morgan and others invented the study of kinship. So L. Morgan invented the study of kinship. L. Morgan studied the kinship in detail, and it started it in anthropology. It existed since the middle of late 1800s. It's a universal concept, and it is a principle by which individual or groups of individual are organized into social groups or roles. Types of kinship. In Western societies, a man's kin and affine are confined to few relatives for practical purpose. Whereas in non-Western societies, kinship relation is broad and inclusive of geographical and other factors. But despite of variance, some familiar and affinity links are culturally recognized in every civilization. So, if we divide that types of kinship, according to the Western countries, few relatives that the men's and the affine are confined to the few close relatives only. They are known as the kins of that particular person. But in non-Western countries, kinship relationship is broad. That is, they include more people other than the few close relatives. It is broader in non-Western countries. The kinship relationship is broader. It includes the blood relation, it includes the relations by marriage, as well as it includes the geographical and other factors in kinship. But despite of variance, some that all culture recognized in every civilization that kinship system. Let us discuss few terms of kinship. Consanguineous and affine. Consanguineous kinship refers to blood relationship. The consanguineous kins are blood relatives, those between the parents and their children, as well as between the siblings. They are known as when you are related to each other through blood. That relationship is known as consanguineous relationship. Like brothers and sisters, parents and children, right? Affinal relationship. Affinal relation refers to relation formed from the marriage alliance. When the relationship formed because of the marriage between two, then that is known as affinal alliance. Kinship is thus based on marriage, like a relationship between husband and a wife. That is affinal type of relationship. Not only husband, wife, but relatives of both the family are also affinal relatives. like father, mother, sister, brother-in-laws, etc. So there are two types of relationship, that is consanguineous relationship and affine relationship. Relationships based on the bloods like parents, children, siblings, right? These types of relationships are known as consanguineous relationship, and other types of relationship is the affine type of relationship which are formed because of the marriage, right? It includes husband and wife as well as families of husband and wife, like brother of husband, sister of husband, parents of husband, and similarly brother, sister, and parents of a wife. These types of relationships are known as the affine types of relationship. Then agnetic and cognetic, remember these terms: consanguineous, affine, agnetic, cognetic. Agnetic. The term agnetic means reckoning the of relationship by male links exclusively, regardless of sex of ego. And agnates are person related to patrilineal descent, that is kin who trace their relationship by descent through the males only from a common ancestors. What is agnetic relationship? The term agnetic means the relationship by males. When that is that it shows the lineage of a lineage from father side or from the male side. That type of relationship is known as agnetic relationship, right? The term agnetic means relation by male links. Okay, regardless of the sex of the ego, whether the ego is a male or a female hardly matters, but they will, the descendant is through male links. The agnates are the person related to the patrilineal descent, means from father's side, that is kin who trace their relationship by descent through males only from the common ancestors. Means relations from the father sides are known as the agnetic relation. Cognetic relation refers to bilateral or consanguineal kinsmen or kinswomen. The closest of all cognetic relation is between the children of the same father and mother. That is known as the cognetic relationship, right? Bilateral or it is through consanguineal relationship. Then next is lineal and collateral. A lineal kin is a person who is related by the direct line of descent, such as father, father's father, son, son's sons, etc. That is the lineal relationship. That is a hierarchy. That is father, then son, then son of sons, then son's son. That is the lineal kin of a person. That is it. They are related through a direct line, right? While collateral kin is a person who is related indirectly through the mediation of another relative, such as father's brother, mother's sister, that is uncle, aunt, cousins, etc., are known as the collateral kins. Lineal kins, they are related through a direct line. Father, son, then grandson, all these are known as the lineal, like linear relation, lineal kins. Collateral, that they are related, the collateral kin is a person who are indirectly related through mediation, like father's brothers, father's sister, or mother's sister, or that they are known as collateral kins. Descendants of a lineal kin are called collateral kin. Example, father's brother is lineal and father's brother's son is collateral. Right? That is father and his brother. They are lineal. But father and brother's son is collateral. Right? They are related through another mediation. That fathers, brothers, sons, and father is related means X and Y. X and Y are direct lineal because they are brother. They are in relation. They are in direct relationship. They are in direct line. That is brother because X and Y are brother. But Y's son is collateral kin of X, right? Because that there is a relationship through mediation, that is known as collateral kinship, right? Kinship usage and behavior. Why kinship is? What is the use of kinship? Kinship usage refers to pattern of behavior between kins in society, how kins will behave. It describes the rules and the social order. It establishes what constitutes the proper and acceptable role of relationship. As a result, it regulates the social life because there are certain rules which everyone has to follow. So it maintains the social life or social order. Some example of kinship uses are relationship of avoidance and joking and taxonomy, eventuate, imitate, and kuwait. Avoidance and joking relationship. There are many types of relationships, right? Uh, like avoiding relationships and joking relationship. Avoiding relationship, like the name indicates, avoiding, right? When the people avoid each other. There is a cultural norm where the kins have to remain away from each other and maintain a restriction in their behavior pattern while interacting with each other, right? They maintain a restriction while they are talking or interacting with each other. That type of relationship is known as the avoidance relationship. Like a relationship of a father-in-law and a daughter-in-law is a avoidance type of a relationship, right? uh, joking relationship is exact opposite to avoiding relationship. It is avoidance according to it is opposite to avoidance. In contrast to avoiding face to face interaction, they have the privileges to be at ease with each other. In avoiding relationship, they avoid each other, right? But in joking relationship, they have privilege to ease with each other. Joking partnership can be seen both in Hindus and the tribal culture, right? Example, relationship between the grandparents and grandchildren is a joking type of a relationship. They are at ease with each other. Relation between sister-in-law and between the sister-in-laws, that is a joking type of a relationship, or sister-in-law or brother-in-law is a joking type of a relationship. Now, eventuate and imitate. Kinship uses observed between the children of mother's brother and his sister in many matrilineal society. That is a relationship between the children of mother's brother and his sister in matrilineal society. In this society, the maternal uncle takes on many responsibilities of the father. His nephew and niece are still under the command, and they are the inheritors of his possessions. Means in matrilineal societies, in many matrilineal societies, the mother's brothers take the many responsibilities of the father, and niece and nephew are still under the command of mother's brother, and the children of sister inherits the possessions of patrilineal society, right? But in patrilineal, people follow imitate. Here, the sister or mother to the niece and nephew, and she wields an influence over him over a variety of situations. In actuality, it is a social mechanism that prevents the sister from being neglected, particularly when they are ejected from their in-laws' home. This, this form of kinship uses is seen in Polynesian Tonga, Toda of South India, and other communities. So, eventuate system and imitate system. In eventuate system, mother's brother, that is mama, takes many responsibilities of a father, and ego inherits his property. And in imitate, the father sister has given much respect, a great respect, and she has seen in many of the situation. That is in imitate system. It is particularly followed in patrilineal society. Now, Kuwait is it is another unusual application of kinship between husband and his wife is found among the Toda and Khasi community. The Toda and the Khasi community follows this Kuwait system. In these communities, when the man's wife give birth to a child, the husband is forced to live a life of austerity along with his wife. He must adhere to the right of the wife as well as with the variety of taboos which the wife follows. This is the Kuwait system. This is just to form a great bonding between husband, wife, and the family. Kuwait system means the husband will follow all the rules after the birth of a child which the female will follow. Right? And this has been followed by the Toda and the Khasi communities. Now, he referred to by her as a Gudu's or Tanu's father. Right? That is technonymy when the kin is not directly referred but referred through another kin. Right? That is technonymy. What is function of kinship? Why it is required? The main function is group formation. It is the foremost and the primary function of kinship in primitive society. The group formed on the basis of kinship ties become relevant. Why is it required? Because it determines the rules of inheritance. Right? For instance, in patrilineal society, the agnatic member have right of inheritance and succession. Kin groups are also regulate marriage behavior by defining marriage rules like exogamy and endogamy. So, what is the function of kinship? That it forms a group, and through this group define the rules of inheritance as well as it define the marriage rules like exogamy and endogamy, which we discussed in our last lecture. Now, regulation, the second function of kinship is regulation of social structure. Kinship uses regulates the kinship role relationship, such as how one kinsman should act in presence of another and what one kinsman owes to the another. So it defines the social structure. It maintains the social life and social systems unity. So okay, this kinship system maintains the social order, kinship and rituals. Another function is rituals, kinships and rituals. Kinship relationship determine the participation of kin in the life cycle rituals, especially the cradle ceremony, marriage, and death. There are many rituals. Few important are the cradle ceremony, then the deaths and the marriages. In many societies, life cycle rituals indicates the importance of certain kin. For example, in patrilineal society, during the naming ceremony, the newborn's name must be given by the father's sister. So, kinship is required to give the name to a newborn. Father sister is required, right? So, kinship plays an important role in rituals. During the marriage of daughter, specific rites and ritual must be conducted by the mother's brother. So, this kinship system helps in rituals of life cycle. In simple society, kinship also regulated the political life, and position of chief was hereditary, right? Sedimentary lineage functions to maintain law and order in stateless society, as found in the New Society. We'll discuss about this later. With the formation of nation state, the political function of kinship become institutionalized. Caste class identify becoming flexible, and adherence to marriage rules has been affected. Right? So we discussed the few about the kinship, the few terms related to the kinship. Now the descent in kinship studies. Descent in kinship studies is very important. In anthropology, Kinship has been used to refer to network of genealogical relationship and social types, right? Kinship, which is because of the genes, because of the bloods, and another is because of the social ties. Now, the descent group includes those individuals whose descendants from the ancestor in a particular way. What is the descent group? Descent group is descent group includes all those individual which are descendant from the common ancestor, or they have a common ancestor. They are linked with each other because they have a common ancestor. When one has a common ancestor, when people have a common ancestor, then we can say that this is a descent group. When the individuals who are descended from the common ancestor in a particular way, they form a descent group, right? Thus two individuals who are regarded as kin may be related to each other in one or other of the two ways. One is a descendant from other, or both are descendant from a common ancestor, means they are related to each other. How they are related, whether that is one is descendant from the other, right? Whether the one is descendant from the other, or both are descendant from the common ancestors, like father and son, right? Descendant from other, and brothers, they have a common ancestors, right? Meaning of the concept of descent. Descent can be defined as a relationship defined by connection to an ancestor or ancestors through a culturally recognized sequence of parent child links. So, what is descent? When there is a connection, when there is a relationship because of a common ancestor, right? How you can find out the relationship? That is through a recognized sequence of parent child link, right? Parent child, son, father, father's fathers, right. So they, that is, the descent group is formed when there is a connection, when they have a common ancestor, and when they have a connection to an ancestor, right? And through a culturally recognized parent child link. In anthropology, various terms like line, lineage, or lineal are used synonymously with the term descent. So, descent, lineage, lineal, or line, they are synonyms. These terms have been used in kinship studies in four different ways. First, to denote corporate descent group, that is a group united for economic and political purposes. Second is to denote the chosen line of inheritance and succession. Why descent or lineage is important? To choose the line of inheritance or succession. To refer to the type of kinship terminologies. And regardless of the lines, matrilineal, patrilineal, or both, are chosen from the above three purposes. Lineal relatives refers to one ascendant or descendants. Either they are ascendants or the descendant, despite of the matrilineal, patrilineal society. Lineal relatives are those who belongs to the same ancestral stock in a direct line of descent. Opposed to lineal relatives are the collateral, who belong to the same ancestral stock but not in the direct line of descent. Few minutes back, we discussed about the lineal relationship and collateral relationship. That is, the lineal and the collateral kin both belongs to the same ancestor, but lineal relationship, there is a direct line of descent. But in collateral relationship, there is no direct line of descent, right? Morgan defined descent as a cultural rule which affiliates an individual with a particular selected group of kinsmen for a certain social purpose, such as mutual assistance or regulation of marriage. Why is it required? That is, according to Morgan, that this descent system is required for a mutual assistance or regulation for some specific rules. The structural functionalist defined descent as a process regulated the recruitment of members in the social group either through father or mother. Morgan and then the structural functionalist like River, according to River, that the descent is did he define the descent as a process regulating the recruitment of a member into the society group, right? Either through father or mother. Now, a type of descent. Unilineal. Unilineal means this traces descent only through a single line of ancestors, male or female. That is, you can traces the descent with you can traces the descent through the single line of ancestors. That is either through male or female. Both male and female are members of unilineal family, but descent links are only recognized through relatives of one gender. Only through one gender, it is through either through mother's side or father's side. You can track back the your ancestors, right? So there are two types of unilineal descent. That is the patrilineal and the matrilineal. Patrilineal is tracing descent from through the male or father line. When you traces your ancestor through the father line, that is when you follow in patrilineal society, where uh, in patrilineal society, that ancestors the descent you trace the descent through the male line, that is through the father line. In matrilineal society, that is matrilineal society, the descent tracing the descent through the female or mother line, right? So unilineal system, unilineal is traces descent only through one, a single line, either through mother or either through father, right? That is unilineal system. A double descent. Descent traces through both patrilineal and matrilineal groups with attendant rights and obligations, but assigned to each of different sets of expectations. What is double descent? When you traces through both the parents, that is patrilineal as well as matrilineal group. Next is cognatic, the system of descent in which child is recognized as descendant equally of both father and mother. It is also referred as a bilateral or bilineal descent system. Here, no unilineal group can be formed, but group structure may be cognative. That is, the group of kin person on the father's and mother's side. Membership can be acquired through either the father or mother. Unilineal system, when you traces your ancestor through one side, either through mother or father, that is unilineal system. Double descent is when you traces both through matrilineal and patrilineal group. But there are certain rights and obligation, and each to assign different roles, right, and sets of expectation. While in cognatic or in bilineal system or bilateral system, both, that is when the child is recognized as a descendant equally from mother's or father's side, that is bilateral, bilineal or cognatic system. Next is ambilineal. What is ambilineal? Patrilineal and matrilineal principles both operates at the societal level. But at the level of individual, various roles or choices define a person as belonging to either the mother's or a father's group is ambilineal. That is, individual can choose whether that defines a person's belonging to a mother's or a father's group, that is ambilineal. So unilineal, bilineal, ambilineal, and a double descent, right? When you traces your ancestor through a, that is descent is when you trace your, when you track your ancestor through a particular way, that is descent or lineage or line. Clan. Now, what is clan? Clan is an exogamous unit. This means that a boy and a girl of same lineage or the group girl or a boy from a same descent group cannot marry. This is exogamy, right? When you are from the same, when you are from the same lineage, right? When your ancestors are common, right? That lineage is exogamous unit. The larger exogamous category is called clan. Among the Hindus, this category is known as Gotra, right? So, what is clan or Gotra? When you have a same, when there are larger exogamous categories or the lineage is exogamous unit, they are known as the clan because they have the same ancestor. Each person of a higher caste among the Hindu belongs to a clan of his or her father and cannot marry within the clan or gotra. One usually knows about the common ancestor of lineage is as an actual person. Actually, a common ancestor of a clan is generally a mythical figure, not an actual person. In rural areas, often members of a lineage live in close proximity and therefore have a greater occasion for cooperation and clashes. Common interest or action do not characterize the relationship among clan members because they are usually scattered over a large territory and their relationships are often quite remote. These relationships assuming significance only in context of marriage. This gotra or clan relationship is significant in context of marriage because through this only you can find out whether it is an exogamous or an endogamous. Right? Lineage. What is lineage? Lineage is a descent group traced only traced through only one parent, either from father or mother, matrilineal or father is patrilineal or mother is matrilineal. When that descent group traced only through one parent, all members of lineage traces their common ancestor to a single person, right? Lineage are normally corporate, meaning that their member exercises rights in common and are subject to obligations collectively. So their obligations and their rights are common and collective. Fratry and moiety notes. When due to any reason many lineage get joined as a bigger group, then such group is known as fratry group. When many lineage grouped together, they are known as the fratry group. And all the lineage of a tribe, when divided into two phratries, then social structure so formed is called a dual organization. And every phratry among this is called a moiety. Right? When many lineage group join together, they form a phratry. And when all the lineage of a tribe, when divided into two phratries, then social structure is formed. And this social structure is of dual organization, right? And every phratry among this is called a moiety, right? Gotra. Gotra refers to the lineage segment within an Indian caste that prohibits intermarriages by virtue of members descent from the common mythical ancestor. An important factor in determining possible Hindu marriage alliance. The role of Gotra is that is to find out whether the marriage is possible or not, right? The Gotra, that is when what is Gotra? Gotra is a lineage segment. That is when you have a common ancestor, right? When your descent is same, then that is known as Gotra, and marriage among the members of the same Gotra is prohibited in Hindu culture. Gotra originally referred to the seven lineage segments of Brahmins or priests who have traced their derivation from seven ancient seas like Atri, Bharadwaj, Brigu, all these are the Gotras. Gotama, Kashyapa, Vasishtha, and Vishwamitra. And again, the eighth Gotra was added early on the Agastya, named after the sea intimately linked up with the spread of Vedic Hinduism in the southern India. Right? Descent approach in kinship studies. Kinship is important to person and community's well-being because different societies define kinship differently. They also set rules governing kinship, which are sometimes legally defined and sometimes implied. Anthropologists in 19th century, in an attempt to understand the constitutions of the society, gave the theory of descent as a principle of organizing a social structure. In 19th century, when the anthropologists tried to understand the constitution of the society, how this society has been constituted, they have given a theory of descent, right? And descent theory act as a principle of organizing the social structure. Evolution of the descent approach. The functionalist anthropologists in the early stages of emergence of the discipline of anthropology were in search of the answer to the question what integrates the society. As a primitive society studied by anthropologists were seen as kinship based. Integration of social structure was located in the kinship system. So, according to the functionalist approach or according to the functionalist, that is the kinship system which is responsible for the integration of the society. That's why they have given the theory of descent. As a group were seen as segment of society, they would be integrated only if principle of kinship organizations were unilinear. You can be integrated when you feel like that you are that you all belongs to a same ancestor, right? Then only you can uh, stay united with each other. For Redcliffe Brown, only group formed on the basis of unilinear descent did not overlap. Thus, understanding of unilinear descent group as essential for formation and continuity of the social structure. So, according to functionalist, this descent group is important. This descent group plays an important role in formation and continuity of the social structure. Right? Most anthropological literature during this period were concerned with societies whose social structure rested on the unilinear descent and thus creating an impression that descent was an organizing principle because they focused on the because according to Redcliffe Brown that the unilinear descent is required and it cannot overlap and they focused on the unilinear system of descent and this unilinear system of descent was an organizing principle of the social structure while the British anthropologists, unlike their predecessors, were not interested in evolution of the society. They were more concerned with the constitution of structure and their relationship between their different parts. They were not interested in the evolution of the society, but the British anthropologists were more interested in the constitution of the structure and interrelationship between the different parts of the society. Therefore, the society was viewed as having a systematic order, resulted due to the interrelations and dependence on the different parts. On the basis of ethnographic study, these anthropologists arrived at the understanding that residence or territory and descent coexisted in the same society. This formed the base of descent theory that support the idea of agnates, that is the male member from the same line of descent. have common residence and hence forming the patrilineal descent group. That is how patrilineal descent group was formed, because the functionalists were more interested to know how society has been evolved and formed, and the British anthropologists were interested and not interested in how society has been formed, but they are interested in the but they were interested and to understand the systematic order or the structure of the society and how they are interrelated with each other, right? And then they viewed, that is on the basis of their study, these anthropologists arrived to the understanding that the residents as well as the descent coexisted with each other, and that is unilineal or agnate or the male member. This forms a basis of the descent theory, and this supports this base, or this gives a basis, or this supports the idea of the agnate. Why? Because of the residence or the territory, common residence or the territory, as well as the descent, right? That's about the idea that all agnates, male member of same lines of descent, have common residence and hence forming a patrilineal descent group. Similarly, uterine, that is the female member from the same line of descent, form the matrilineal group. In both cases, descent provide the basis of group integration. So, group integration, that is this they wanted to know about the integration and the social order. So according to them, this descent group is responsible, the descent group of this kinship is responsible for the social order and the group integration, right? Features of descent principle. Descent principles have parallel rules of post-marital residence. Patrilocality, matrilocality. Patrilocality, when married couples and children live in husband's community, usually found in the patrilineal society or patrilineal descent. Matrilocality, married couple and their children live in wife's community, associated with the matrilineal descent, right? Descent rules are used to determine the parenthood, identify ancestry, and assign people to a social categories, groups, and roles on the basis of inherited status. So, why descent rule? Why descent is important? Because it determines the parenthood, it identifies the ancestry, assign the roles to the people, social categories, and the groups. The descent approach emphasizes on formation of social group or descent group and have described this group as exhibiting certain features. Descent groups are permanent social units whose members claim common ancestry. The membership of group is determined at the birth and is a lifelong membership. The descent group endure over time even though the membership changes. A descent group functions successfully as a long-term joint property owner and economic production teams. It assumes important cooperative functions such as land ownership, political representation, mutual aids, and the support. Descent groups were the mechanism for maintaining political order in the stateless society. The principle was used to trace the line of inheritance and succession as a chief. In the development of theory of family and kinship, the descent theory made reference to the genealogical charts that help the trace connection between the kins. And this principle helped in allocation of roles and responsibilities among the member of a particular group. Kinship terminology were relevant in indicating the allocation. What is the uses of descent approach by anthropologists? What is the use of this descent approach? Prominent British social anthropologists of this period, such as Malinowski, Radcliffe Brown, Evan Pritchard, and Mayor Portis, generally advocated the functionalist approach. The major premises of functionalism were that every aspect of culture, no matter how seemingly disparate, had a substantive purpose, and within a given culture, These diverse structures work together to maintain the group's viability. So, according to functionalist, every uh, um, every function, that is the every aspect of a culture plays an important role in integration of the society, right? Henry Morgan, descriptive and classificatory terminology. Henry L. Morgan is one of the foremost cultural anthropologists whose theory had a substantial influence in sociology and anthropology. Morgan carried out the field in the Native American people. In ancient society, he attempted to link evolution of kinship institution to technological changes and evolution of property forms. His pioneering work on kinship resulted in the book System of Consanguinity and Affinity of Human Family. It was published in 1871. He provided the evolutionary thinking according to which kinship was defined as a social institution, identifying the early step of social organization. So, according to Henry Morgan, kinship is a social institution. Kinship presented as an epicenter of so-called primitive societies' social organization. So, kinship plays an important role in social organization. It is the epicenter in primitive society. Kinship was seen as a principle for differentiated simple society from complex modern society. Kinship gave explanation of the problem of maintenance of social order in absence of state-based organization. An important element in Morgan's formulation was the distinction between classificatory and descriptive system of kinship. In classificatory system, relatives not in ego's direct line of descent or ancestry, called the collateral kin, are placed in the same terminological grouping as a lineal kin, relatives in ego's direct line of descent. While the classificatory system, such as the Dravidian kinship, for example, they designate the father and his brother, and conversely, mother and her sister by the same term, or indicating a relationship of similarity. Right? In many society with unilinear descent, that is system that emphasizes descent through one parent line, but not both ego uses one set of term to refer the brothers, sisters, and the parallel cousins, while another set of term is employed as a cross cousins. This arrangement emphasizes the fact that cross cousins do not belong to the lineage with the ego, ego's sibling, and ego's parallel cousin. Thus, designated marriage between cross cousin as exogamous group. Descriptive terminology, in contrast to classificatory terminology, maintain a separation between linear and collateral kin. For example, mother and mother sister, although the same generation in Radcliffe Brown, African system of kinship and marriage. He studied about the African system of kinship and marriage. Radcliffe Brown insisted on the study of kinship system as a field of right and obligation and saw it a part of social structure. Kinship system should be regarded as a spatial social relation that form a part of a broader general network. For Radcliffe Brown, are descent in both social and biological, hence the distinction between the social and biological father. He differentiated between the two types of the rights. Right in persona refers to the certain right that the husband has to his wife. In his study of kinship system, Radcliffe Brown also focuses on the kinship and kinship terminologies. According to him, kinship terminology is unable to understand the social structure. Next study is by Evan Pritchard, the study of Noor of Africa. Evan Pritchard study of Noor of Southern Sudan focused on the kinship group, particularly group based on the descent in male line from known ancestor. He showed how clan functioned as a political group in Noor society. He emphasized of recruitment, perpetuation, and functioning of such groups in Africa. Noor's life in is of necessity migratory and transhumanist. Evan Pritchard, in his study of Noor, developed a concept of segmentary lineage. What is segmentary lineage? Evan Pritchard has described a Noor clan being highly segmented. The segments are genealogical structure, therefore refer to them as a lineage. Thus, the clan is divided into segments. Its lineage are distinct group in relation to each others. Right? Mayor Fort is the study of tenancy and Ashanti kinship system. In Fortis, the structure of unilinear descent group, Fortis gave the theory of segmentary lineage. He suggested that structure of unilinear descent group could be generalized. Its position in complete system can be viewed. The social structure exhibit how territory and descent would connect with each other. Fortes portrayed Telensi society in northern Ghana as entirely built around the lineage system. Whether he is worshipping ancestor, arranging marriages, allocating work, or exerting judicial authorities, Telensi men's rights and responsibilities are determined by his position in his patrilineage. So, lineage of the descent plays an important role in Telenesian society. Although lineage membership is determined by the kinship criteria, its functions are economic and political. Right? Descent and filiation. Filiation stemmed from being the legitimate child of one's parent was normally bilateral. That is, children were filiated to both parents. That is the legitimation of the child from the both parents. That is the filiation. Our descent as Juralic status was determined by the pedigree, that descent was from a particular ancestor. That is, filiation is from both the parents, that is, the legitimation of the children is required from both the parents, but descent could be from the one parent. In patrilineal case, the man had a descent and filiation linked to his father's side, but only filiation on his mother's side. Right? In patrilineal society, that filiation is from mothers as well as from the father's side, but descent is from the father's side. Right? Filiation was relevant only in domestic context, and descent was in political and the judicial matter. Descent is unilateral, while filiation is always bilateral. Descent is unilateral, that is from mother's side or father's side, but filiation is from both the side, and filiation is required for the domestic context, but descent from the political and jural matter. Critics of descent theory. Many criticize the descent theory. The descent approach was dominated mode of studying the family, marriage, and kinship in early 20th century. This theory had been comprehend the social structure of society as neatly organized by the principle of unilinear descent either through the male or female. Descent was the base of political structure and key to understand these societies. So it was the base for the political structure. Much of the feature of descent theory was derived from the study done by the British anthropologist in Africa. When anthropologists from the United States and other parts of the world start doing research outside Africa, they realized that unilineal descent was not only mode of group formation. The depiction society as neatly ordered by unilinear descent into clearly bounded nested unit of different scale was often far from everyday political reality. Further, the anthropologist also pointed out that the descent theory only recognized sharing the blood, whereas importance of marriage in formation of group was neglected. Of kinship propelled thinker like Levi-Strauss to construct a new theory based on the exchange of women or alliance. Rather than the blood, it should be on the basis of affinity, that is through alliance, or it is through exchange of the women. Like the contemporaries, Levi-Strauss considered unilinear descent group as a core structure of kinship. However, he advocated for formation of alliance due to exchange of women. His theory was termed as an alliance theory and was regarded as an advance to the descent theory. The alliance theory also critiqued Radcliffe Brown's understanding of relationship between family and clan. Radcliffe Brown regarded elementary family universal as it created sentiment which took solidarity amongst siblings to a larger group. Levi-Strauss, on the contrary, argued that siblings can be linked through the exchange of sisters in marriage. Another advanced argument made by the Edmund Leach. He critiqued the concept of complementary filiation given by the Mayor Fortis. Complementary filiation, according to Fortis, was a result of opposition of relation between affinal and the consanguine relationship. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.